Hey yo boys, welcome to the channel. This is Josh Talk Sports, and in this video we're going to be discussing the landscape of the NBA and why this has been the craziest offseason that we have seen in years, and why most recently we have seen stars being traded left and right like never before. Now, to start this video off, I kind of wanted to ask the question, is the new CBA, the new collective bargaining agreement, causing more stars to be traded? Because in the past 3 seasons of the NBA, we've seen superstars, MVPs just being traded left and right. And the question here says that this new CBA is significantly altering how star players are moved because it's causing it's causing high spending teams to trade or break up their star cores rather than keeping them together long term, because teams now are looking for more cost controlled players more than ever. And I know you may ask, what does that mean by cost controlled? I want to take you guys to a player that just got traded not too long ago. It was Aaron Wiggins. Now, Aaron Wiggins was a player on the Oklahoma City Thunder, if we can find that. Yes, Aaron Wiggins was traded to the Atlanta Hawks for 2 second-round picks. Now, you may be asking, why was that relevant to what I'm talking about? Now, I want to show you guys something. Aaron Wiggins' contract. He is on a 5-year, $45 million contract. Obviously, he was just traded. And this was his salary. So about $9.2 million coming up, and then 8 to 8.3, and then 8.1. Now, why this was a smart move for the Thunder? Because if you look up, let's just say, how much do second-round NBA draft picks make? Second-round draft picks make approximately $1.3 to $2.2 million a year. So that is a cost-controlled contract. So if the Thunder go out and find a player that can give them the same production that this player was giving them, they are going to move him and they are going to go get draft compensation. And this is something that has become a trend in the NBA. Now, what I mean by star players being traded, just this morning, LaMelo Ball was traded away. He was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Josh Green and Naz Reid and a bunch of picks. This is a star player who is currently on a high deal. Now, it may be deeper than just them wanting to be cost controlled, but he was moved. Now, I want to kind of show you guys something of the stars that have been traded in the recent months and years. We have Giannis, who was just traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. Former 2-time MVP, former NBA champion, was moved from the Bucks to the Miami Heat. LaMelo Ball, who was just moved. Trae Young was moved from the Hawks to the Wizards. Julius Randle, perennial all-star, was moved from the Timberwolves to the Nets, and they now obviously went and got LaMelo Ball. And James Harden, who was recently traded from the Clippers to the Cavaliers. And then we also, in the past couple seasons, we had Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis just being swapped. Like, this is not something that we have typically seen in the past. You can go back before 5 years from now, like through the 2010s to about 2018, you did not see, and so on, you did not see star players being traded like that. This was something that came of rarity, and we're seeing that we've already had 3 blockbuster trades, and we haven't even reached free agency yet. Now, what this CBA basically means is the CBA introduced a second apron salary threshold that restricts high-spending teams from trading draft picks. They're using their MLE or aggregating contracts to avoid these harsh financial or roster building. They're incentivized to offload high salaries. So if a player is underperforming or not quite performing to the standard and they are making a lot of money, it makes sense for them to move on from that player to then go get a cost-controlled player via draft, and then be able to develop that player, potentially build that player up, and then trade that player. A team that does that a lot in a different sport is the Kansas City Chiefs. As they develop their corners, they trade their corners, and then they go draft corners because they want to stay cost-controlled. Now, what this has done, because teams cannot afford to pay a ton of players like the Golden State Warriors back in 2016, 2017, where they had Clay, Steph, KD. Those teams no longer exist. You only have a couple years to be able to win before you have to trade the player to then get back on track and get under the books. And what this has done is it's not allowing long-term deals. Usually those players aren't going to stay with the team for the full entirety of the deal. And it causes for, you're not going to be able to see teams that are going to have these dynasty runs like the Warriors, like the Lakers back then, like the Bulls. Those don't exist, and I think this was part of Adam Silver's plan to kind of revamp and get rid of how the NBA used to be, and he's going for a more parity-style NBA, which is why if you look up the last 5 NBA champions, there has been no back-to-back winners. If you guys see here, it was the Knicks this past year, it was the Thunder the previous year, it was the Celtics, the Nuggets, and the Warriors. The last time we had a back-to-back champion in the NBA would be no other than the 2017-2018 Warriors, who obviously infamously had KD, Steph, Dre, Clay, Iguodala. The team was stacked, but those teams no longer exist in today's NBA. So that is my reasoning. That is my belief on why we are seeing stars being traded more than ever in today's NBA. The new CBA does not allow for you to build super teams, and this is a thing we're going to continue to see in the NBA. So do not be surprised if in the upcoming weeks or days you see more star players being moved, because teams want to opt for cost-controlled players and are only willing to pay the SGAs, the Steph Currys, the Lukas, the Jokic's. Even Giannis got moved. So, and Luka did get traded. So there's only a very select few of players now that teams are willing to pay and are untouchable. And dare I say, there are more two-way type players now that are deemed untouchable more than they are stars. Like, the Timberwolves were not willing to move on from Jaden McDaniels. He's not a superstar player, but he's a very important player to that roster. So just keep that in mind when you guys see these trades and you're kind of asking the question, well, why are teams trading away their star players? What are they doing? They're opting for more cost-controlled scenarios where they can keep their team as good as possible for as long as possible, and I believe the CBA is the main cause of that. So let me know if you guys agree or disagree in the comments down below. Are you guys shocked with all the trades that we've seen in the recent years? And consider leaving a subscribe button as we are on the road to 50 subscribers. I will catch you boys in the next one. Peace.